Perth is now a nation-leading market, showing strong resistance to downturn pressures as it maintains high levels of sales activity and good price growth. In contrast to trends in the biggest cities, Perth has delivered strong levels of sales volumes in the latest quarter, despite all the disruption from interest rate rises, high inflation figures, and all that ridiculously negative media. Now, every quarter we analyse sales activity for every suburb and town in Australia because we see it as a forward indicator of what will happen with prices. And of the 179 suburbs we've analysed in Perth in our latest survey, 131 of them are categorised as rising markets or consistency markets, and that compares with 134 in both of our two previous quarterly surveys. Now, only a quarter of Perth suburbs are now classified as plateau markets, and these are the suburbs where sales volumes have tapered off below peak levels, compared with half of suburbs in mid to late 2020 before Perth began its current growth cycle. Now, the Perth market has been consistently strong for the past 7 quarters. The number of suburbs classified as rising markets in our past 7 surveys has been 118, 103, 115, 116, 121, 115 and 108. So you can see for all those consecutive surveys, the level of rising markets has been consistently strong. And to put that into perspective, in the quarterly surveys from 2015 through to the end of 2020, the average number of rising markets in Perth was just 29. So the current level of performance is almost 4 times those pre-2021 levels. As we noted in our previous surveys 3 months ago, many of the standout municipalities in Perth are at the affordable end of the market. Local government areas where all or most of their suburbs have rising sales activity include the LGAs of Armidale, Rockingham, Kwinana, Gosnells, Wanneroo, Swan and Canning, all at the lower end of the market. And the buoyancy at the bottom end of the market confirms Perth's status as the most affordable housing market in capital city Australia. And by that I mean that the median house price in Perth is currently the lowest amongst all the state and territory capital cities in Australia. Now, across the Greater Perth area, there are lots of suburbs where sales activity, which means buyer demand, has been rising strongly quarter by quarter over the past 2 years, and it's still rising despite all the current disruptions. Now, I'll give you just one example. In the suburb of Brabham in the city of Swan, which is in the northeast of Greater Perth, the number of sales quarter by quarter has been 37, 42, 50, 53, 57, 64, 62, 87 and most recently 90. This steady pattern of increasing sales means prices must inevitably rise, and in the past 12 months the median house price for this suburb has grown 20%, including 6% in the latest quarter alone. And this is just one example amongst many in the Perth market at the moment. Where there is evidence of lessening demand in Perth, it's primarily in the more expensive areas, and these include the municipalities of Cottesloe, Mosman Park, Fremantle and Nedlands. But in the more affordable areas of Perth, it continues to be a story of busy sales activity with prospects for ongoing growth in property prices.